Thanks, Chris. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be sharing research on a Friday night. So thank you for giving me company. I'm Edson Tandoc, an associate professor at the Wikimi School of Communication and Information at NTU in Singapore. And tonight I'll be sharing results from a survey that we did in 2017, results of which to me are intriguing, puzzling, and as a former journalist, I work as a newspaper reporter in the Philippines for 6 years. Also, these results are a bit worrisome, and I'll explain why. I studied journalism, both news production and consumption, and when I started working in Singapore in 2014, I first tried to understand the news ecosystem, including news consumption patterns in the country. And in 2014, when I first did this survey, print newspaper was still the most frequently used news source in Singapore. Unlike in other countries, print circulation rates in Singapore were decreasing, but at a much slower rate. But as you saw in the earlier slide, in 2017, things changed. Facebook has overtaken traditional news sources in terms of frequency of use. So I wondered why. Maybe it could be because of trust, right? We, in journalism schools, were socialized that we need to put high premium on credibility. Credibility is what drives news consumption. So in the same survey, I put a question and I asked people, about 1,000 people in a nationally representative survey in Singapore, how much trust they put on each of these different news sources. And as what we can see here, they trust print newspapers, local TV, traditional news sources the most. And if you see social media news and WhatsApp, they trust but not so much. But I also asked them, because I have more time to do ask other things and do more things, I asked them which one they think is most entertaining. And we see the results reversed. We see that social media news is the most entertaining. So hold on that thought and remember the second slide that I showed you, right? Facebook is the most often used news platform or news source, but it's also the least trusted. So that made me raise that question. Is it really credibility that mainly drives news consumption? And what we're seeing here is maybe it's not. So let's look at entertainment value and trustworthiness together. So this was my earlier slide, right? I just want you to remember. We see that, again, as I told you, in 2014, local newspapers were the most commonly used source. 2016, things changed, and the same pattern has remained in 2016 when I did it again in 2017, and also when I did it earlier this year. So if we test the truth value and the entertainment value together and see which one predicts news consumption better than the other, the next slide will show us the results. So across all these different news platforms, these different news sources, what we will see in the next slide is that the entertainment value is a stronger predictor of trust, be in terms of how frequently you use print newspapers. We see these are regression coefficients. Basically, they show us the magnitude of effect. And again, across different platforms, even for WhatsApp, even for social media, even for radio, the stronger predictor of news consumption is the entertainment value, not trust. It's not and here I use trust and credibility interchangeably. So for me, this is a bit worrisome. It's a bit contradictory to what I've been trained and socialized into as a journalism student, as a journalist, and now as someone who does research on journalism. So if it's not credibility, if it's no longer credibility, if it's not the value that we value the most as journalists, what is it that drives news consumption? And this has implications on other things, and you know where I'm heading to. This has implications on fake news, right? It could be an explanation why people believe in information sources or use information sources that they don't necessarily trust. Right? They might know that these sources are not trustworthy. They know themselves they are not credible, but still use them for their information. And this has implications on how we address or how we fight fake news as an issue. We rightfully so, we're trying to stress on credibility. We have to make our news organizations credible. We have to appear credible. We need to train users that they should scrutinize the trustworthiness of the information sources that they use. But guess what? They know which ones they can consider as trustworthy, which ones are not trustworthy, but still they use the sources that they don't trust. And that, I think, is also a scary graph. So thank you.